Don't play with the mirror. I never really believed in those stories. About the mirror, where you're supposed to say a name at night and supposedly a witch or something appears. I always laughed at that. But that Halloween, I finally decided to try it. We were hanging out at my place with my friends. It was boring, candy, movies, the same as always. And then one of them said, "Let's summon the witch through the mirror." I rolled my eyes, but they kept teasing me. "What, are you scared? Come on, show us." So I went into the bathroom and turned off the light. It was so quiet, only the sound of rain tapping on the window. And there I was, standing in front of the mirror. I thought, fine, I'll just say it 3 times and be done. So I did. At first, nothing. But then, I noticed that in the reflection, my eyes looked black, huge. I blinked, and they went back to normal, but it was real. And then, my reflection, it smiled. Only I wasn't smiling. I was just standing there, frozen. But it smiled, and the smile was too wide, unnatural. I wanted to call the girls, but my voice was stuck in my throat. And then the reflection raised its hand. I didn't move, but it pressed its palm against the glass. And the worst part? I felt it, the cold touch, like someone on the other side reached through. That's when the light went out. I screamed. My friends rushed in. They turned on the lamp, and in the mirror, everything was normal. Except, on the glass, there was a handprint. Not mine, with long, thin fingers. And I can't get it out of my head. Now I try not to look into mirrors in the dark at all. But sometimes, it feels like my reflection moves just a little later than I do. Just a second, but I see it. And I don't know. Maybe I'm losing my mind. Or maybe it's still there.
Lights in the forest. All my friends loved Halloween. There was something ritualistic about it, wearing a mask, a costume, collecting candy, or wandering the streets at night. But that year, someone suggested we do something special. We decided to drive out to the forest beyond the city and spend the night by a bonfire. At first, it sounded like fun. Autumn was warm, leaves crunched under our feet, and the air smelled of smoke. We carried food, drinks, music, and, of course, pumpkins with candles inside. When the sun went down, everything changed. The forest didn't look the same as it did in the daytime. The darkness between the trees felt thick, almost alive. The fire crackled, we sat in a circle joking around, but from time to time, I had the feeling someone was standing in the shadows behind the trunks. I tried to ignore it, but then I noticed our pumpkin candles began to go out, one after another, even though there was no wind. "It's a sign," one of the guys joked, but no one laughed. Suddenly, we heard the clear sound of children's laughter. It came from somewhere nearby, just beyond the trees. We looked at each other. None of us had younger siblings, and really, who would be wandering in the forest at night? "Probably someone trying to scare us," I said, though I didn't believe it myself. One of my friends grabbed a flashlight and walked toward the laughter. We heard him call, "Hey, is anyone there?" And then he went silent. Only the flashlight beam remained in the darkness. We waited a minute, then 2. When we decided to go after him, the flashlight went out. At that moment, the fire flared up so brightly, it looked as if someone had poured gasoline into it. In the flames, I saw silhouettes, 3 children. They were holding hands, staring right at us. Their faces were pale, eyeless, only shadows. I screamed and fell backward. My friends jumped up too. Someone bolted toward the road. Behind us, I heard the laughter again. Only this time, it was right by my ear. We ran out of the forest blindly. When we finally stopped, there was one of us missing. That friend never came out. No one ever saw him again. The next day, we returned with the police. Our things, the bonfire, the pumpkins, everything was gone, as if we'd never been there at all. And you know what's the strangest part? A week later, an article appeared in the local newspaper. It said that exactly 30 years ago, on that very night, 3 children had disappeared in that same forest. They searched for them for weeks, but never found them. Since then, I've hated bonfires and Halloween, because sometimes when I stare too long at a candle flame, I swear I can still see their silhouettes.
Night in the abandoned house. In every town, there are places everyone knows about, but no one dares to enter. In my hometown, that place was an old house on the outskirts. Its owners vanished back in the 90s. A family of 3 disappeared without a trace, and since then, the house had stood empty. People whispered that at night they saw lights in the windows, and neighbors claimed they heard children laughing. I never believed such stories, until one day my friend suggested we go there at night. "Are you scared?" Artem teased. I didn't want to look like a coward, so I agreed. We decided to spend just 1 hour inside, bring flashlights, and record everything on camera. When we approached the house, a shiver ran down my spine. The walls were streaked with dark stains, as if the house itself was crying. The door hung off one hinge, and when we pushed it, it gave a long, drawn-out creak, almost like a moan. Inside, it smelled of rot and dampness. The floorboards bent beneath our steps, and cobwebs dangled from the ceiling. We walked slowly, trying not to make any noise, but the silence felt too heavy, as if someone was listening. On the second floor, we found a child's room. In the corner stood a small bed, and beside it, a teddy bear with one eye missing. I picked it up, and at that very moment, I heard soft, childlike laughter. I froze. My friends exchanged glances. They had heard it too. "It's just the draft," Artem muttered. But we knew. Drafts don't laugh. We wanted to leave, but suddenly a door in the hallway slammed shut on its own. Our flashlights began to flicker, and in those brief flashes of light, I saw the figure of a child at the end of the corridor. He stood with his back to us. "Hey, kid!" Sasha called out carefully. The child slowly turned his head. His face was pale, his eyes black and hollow like empty sockets. His smile stretched unnaturally wide. Then our lights went out completely. In the pitch-black darkness, we heard footsteps, fast, light, circling us. And then a child's voice whispered right into my ear. "You found us. Now stay forever." The lights flickered back on. 3 children were standing around us. Their faces were blurred as if they didn't belong to this world. We bolted for the exit. The staircase groaned and trembled beneath us. Doors slammed one after another, as if the house itself was trying to keep us inside. When we finally burst outside, I looked back. In the second floor window, they were there. The children, waving at us, smiling. Since then, I've never returned to that house. But sometimes, late at night, I hear that same laughter beneath my window. And I'm terrified that one day I'll wake up and find them standing by my bed.